Hi, Blitz games are started yesterday in Croatia Rapid and Blitz. Magnus Carlsen and Praggnanandhaa both beat Gukesh to bounce back from their rapid defeats. First, let's look at the Magnus Carlsen game. In this game, Carlsen started the game with e4 and Gukesh played e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, Rai Lopez, also Spanish opening, knight f6, bishop c5, knight c3, castle, bishop into c6, pawn takes c6, bishop e3, bishop d6, bishop g5 pinning the knight, h6, bishop h4, bishop g4, h3, bishop takes f3, queen takes f3. Then bishop e7, bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, g3. Actually, the opening is very simple. There's nothing much to do in this opening. Very simple opening. This is actually favorable for Magnus, who like to grind in positions like this. And Rukesh played queen d7, targeting on h3 so that white cannot castle. So first he played h4 and bishop e7, castle. And bishop c5, king g2, bishop d4, knight e2. Obviously, taking this not uh, good idea because after rook b1 and rook takes b7, these pawns will be too weak. So Gukesh played bishop b6, g4, trying to create some play on the king side, g6, and very nice move, knight g3. And after queen e7, Carlsen played rook h1, once again improving all of his pieces on the king side, and rook d8, a4 with the idea of a5. So Gukesh played a5. So queen e2, rook d6, queen d2, threatening to win the pawn on h6. So king g7, h5 with the idea of h takes g6 and queen takes h6. Obviously, if he takes with the rook, the knight f5 will come. So queen g5, Gukesh trying to trade queens to avoid unnecessary attacks. But once again, it favors Magnus Carlsen because generally he likes positions like this. And Carlsen played knight f1, trying to find better square for his knight. And rook f6, f3, rook f4, h takes g6, h takes g6, rook h3. And this is where Gukesh made a mistake. This rook is active. Probably Magnus will double his rooks with knight d2, rook h1. So here Gukesh played rook h8 to trade this rook, which is actually a mistake. After this, black is completely losing. After rook takes h8, king takes h8, this pawn structure is too weak. And here Magnus just played knight d2 with the idea of knight c4. He's going to threaten to win this pawn. So obviously only move to defend this is rook f6 and rook e6. So rook f6, knight c4, rook e6. And Magnus played rook b1, threatening b4. So here Gukesh played c5. And this bishop looks terrible. It looks like a pawn. So both of his pieces are tied to defend his pawns. So Magnus is very happy in this position after rook h1 check. King g7, he played king f2, improving his king's position too. So here Gukesh played bishop a7. He gave up his pawn to create some play. So knight takes a5, c4, discover check, and king e2, pawn takes d3, king takes d3. Now Magnus king also jumps into the attack. Rook d6 check, king c4, rook a6, knight takes b7, rook takes a4, b4. Very nice move. Rook a6, rook d1, rook c6 check, king d3, bishop d4, threatening rook c3 check. So Magnus played rook d3 to prevent rook c3 check and also threatening to play pawn c3. So king f6, c3, bishop f2, rook d7. Here Magnus played rook takes c7, but knight d8 is actually unstoppable checkmate. But anyway, Magnus is winning after rook c7, and here Gukesh resigned because Magnus has two clear extra pawns. Also, knight d8, rook f7 checkmate threat is coming. So this is completely winning for white. Clean victory for Magnus with brilliant strategic play. Now let's look at Gukesh versus Praggnanandhaa. In this game, Gukesh played with white pieces. Gukesh played knight f3, Praggnanandhaa played knight f6, and g3, b6, bishop g2, bb7, castle, g6, double fianchetto, c4, c5, knight c3, bg7, d4, c takes d4, queen takes d4, d6. And Guki played rook d1, knight d7, b3, castle. Now Gukesh played bishop b2, rook c8, and knight e1, activating the g2 bishop. Now Praggnanandhaa played a very interesting move. He played knight e4. He's blocking this bishop and also discover attack to the queen. So Gukesh played queen e3 and bishop takes c3, bishop takes c3, knight takes c3. Now capturing this bishop is not possible because of knight takes d1 and also threatening to win the queen. So first queen takes c3 and bishop takes g2, knight takes g2, b5. This is the very important move in this position because after pawn takes c4, the c4 pawn will become weak and Pragg can improve his attack on that. So here Gukesh played knight e3 and pawn takes c4, pawn takes c4, rook c5. He's trying to build his attack on the c file. So rook b1, knight b6, rook d4, queen c7, h4, and rook c8. So here Gukesh played knight g4 with ideas like knight h6 check, and after moving the rook, this queen will also jump into the kingside attack. But knight g4 is a mistake. How to punish this? Yeah, h5, good move. Now knight e3, only move. And here, once again, nice move for black. E5, trying to get rid of the rook. And also, after moving the rook, Pragg played d5, threatening d4, and also he's going to win the pawn. So queen b3, and Pragg played pawn takes c4, queen c3. Now Pragg is clearly a pawn up, so he slowly improved his position. c3, rook d1, knight b2, once again attacking the rook, rook c1, rook b8, threatening rook d2, queen b3, rook d2, queen b8 check, king g7, and rook e1, c2. Once again threatening to win this rook, so rook c1 and queen b6. In this position, obviously trading queens is completely winning for black because after trading queens, black can just play f5, f4, and he can improve his position. This endgame is completely winning for black. So Yuki avoided the queen trade and Black played queen d6, queen e4, queen d4, again threatening to trade queens. So Yuki played queen b7, knight d1, queen b3, and rook c3. After knight takes c2, Praggnanandhaa played queen takes f2, and Guki resigned. Because after moving the king, Gukesh is losing his queen. Both Magnus and Pragg beat Gukesh in a brilliant positional style. Today is the last day of Croatia Rapid and Blitz. Currently, Magnus is in sole lead, Duda is in second position, and Gukesh is in third position. Let's see who's going to win the event. Do subscribe for more chess improvement content. Thanks for watching.